Hi everyone, it's Matt from Greatness Everyday, and in this video I'm going to answer the question, what is the 2 pizza rule that Jeff Bezos uses to run his company Amazon? But first, if you like videos related to personal development, health, and wealth, and ultimately answer the question, what does it mean to live a great life and how can we do that? Why not go down and click the subscribe button? I would really appreciate that. But to get started, Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, one of the most successful companies to ever exist, really is famous and well known for using something called the 2 pizza rule to run his company, to run his meetings, to make sure that the meetings that they do have are much more efficient, much more productive, and ultimately higher quality. And I believe this is something you and I can start doing in our own workplaces, in our own businesses, maybe in our organizations, or just in any meeting that we have in general. And we can start doing this right away. And the 2 pizza rule states that there should only be a certain amount of people in the meeting that can be fed by 2 pizzas. And this does a couple different things in my opinion. I came up with kind of 3 main points that the 2 pizza rule really allows you to do. And number 1 is, the first thing is less is more. With saying that less is more, this means that the people that are supposed to be in the meeting, the people that matter, giving their input to move a company, to move a business, to take next steps in an organization or whatever, the people that matter are there, and the people that really don't matter in the grand schemes of deciding the next steps aren't there. So the people that have a say get their say, and the people that really haven't earned that say or are not at the level that they get to put a say in and give their input in aren't there. So less is more. Sometimes you have too many people kind of whispering in your ear, telling you what they think you should do and all of that. Whereas sometimes you need a leader, you need a small group of people that are determining what the next steps should be. And really with that, the more people you have, it can be much more difficult to get the different opinions on things. It can be much more difficult to come to a consensus. And really what you need from a leadership team as you move forward in business or in an organization in general is people that are on the same page. At the same time, people that are in that meeting are able to relay those messages to the people that aren't able to attend the meeting. And from there, they are in a leadership role. They are able to give the next steps forward, to convince the people as to why the next steps were made, and for a few other reasons. But number 1, the very first thing I can decide is less is more. The very second thing that I can decide is it keeps the people that are in the meeting engaged. And I can speak to this in a couple ways. When I am in smaller meetings, I feel much more engaged. I feel that my voice matters a lot more. And at the exact same time, it keeps me focused on what our tasks are. So I love getting an agenda. I love understanding what the next steps are, how the meeting flows together, how each piece of the meeting ultimately serves its purpose for the greater good. So I'm much more engaged in a smaller meeting. And when I look at a larger meeting, like 30, 50, 100 people, or even more sometimes, it is much more difficult for me to stay engaged. I get off task, whether that is watching people, whether that is talking to someone, whether that is, I just don't feel that my voice matters as much as I would in a smaller meeting. So maybe I'm able to drift off, or my thoughts aren't really where they should be. So it keeps the people in the meeting engaged. It keeps the purpose of the meeting moving forward. And that's a big thing. So there's 2 sides to that. It keeps engaged piece. And the third thing there is ultimately, I believe with a smaller meeting, we're not talking 1 or 2 people. We're talking about the fact of, again, that you could feed everybody in the meeting with 2 pizzas. Really what it does is here, it allows you to build in the structure that you desire, because a lot of things are very difficult to do with a larger group. And if you're able to keep that group smaller, the people that there really have a say in what you're doing next, you're able to build in structures that you might not be able to in a larger group setting. And when you do that, I really believe that your purpose and your engagement and your focus and the quality of everything that you're doing is able to raise the standards very much so. So with this, one of the interesting things that Jeff Bezos does is he basically makes sure that supposedly no PowerPoints go through the Amazon process, right? That's something that he has said we're moving away from, and what we're doing for the sake of our meetings is we're really making sure that there is a detailed memo that takes sometimes up to a week to create for the purpose of that meeting, where it's blocked together in an essay form, in a memo form, where you've got sentences and paragraphs and arguments and thesis and everything kind of built together in a lot more specific detail than you might have if you were just going through a general presentation to a large group of people. And really what this does is he's built the structure in at the very first, let's say, half an hour of that meeting. It's solely dedicated to the fact that people are there, they're reading through the memo individually on their own. They've got this quiet time where they're super focused in engaging with kind of the goals that they have set out on. So the very first structure that they build in, which I found was very interesting, is really just giving people time to actually consider the information that they're going to be discussing as they move forward with their meeting. And that's something that I think if we all think back to our time in school or our time at our workplace, it's very easy to say that we might have, if we were given something to review before, we might have read it, but maybe we didn't read it to the detail that we need, or maybe we didn't even read it at all, and we're kind of willing to just kind of brush it aside and say that we got it. But really interesting for me is with a smaller group of people in a meeting, you're able to build in the structures that you desire. And one of the things that Amazon at the top level, one of the most successful companies of all time does is they give their CEOs, they give their executive members, they give all their decision makers time in their meeting to read and review the memo that they're going to be discussing and moving forward. And obviously this has brought them great success. I wouldn't be sharing that with you here on the channel if I didn't think that it was something that really deserved to be discussed and deserved to be examined, and how you and I can start implementing these steps that companies are using, successful people are using, because I believe success leaves clues. And I've heard that saying over and over again for the past year or two. And so what I do is I study some of the most successful people out there, see what they're doing, and seeing how I can implement that in my life to do the exact same thing. So I hope that you like this video. If you did, please click the thumbs up button because it helps get this video out to more people. Make sure you share it with somebody that you believe it's going to help. And at the same time, go down and click subscribe to follow for more great videos related to personal development, health, and wealth. You can check out our website. You can find us on Instagram. I'd really appreciate all of that. But thank you for being here. Remember, choose greatness every day, and I'll see you next time.